She hurried down the street, clutching a small paper bag of leftover food from her shift at the diner. Her worn-out shoes tapped against the cold pavement, and her thin coat did little to shield her from the biting wind. To most people, that bag didn't mean much. To her, it was tomorrow's meal. She had learned to stretch scraps into survival. But as she passed the quiet corner of the park, she suddenly heard a small voice pierce the silence. "Dad, you broken bar." It's her. She froze, her heart hammering in her chest. Slowly, she turned. A little boy, no more than 7, stood holding his father's hand. His wide, innocent eyes locked onto her, shining with recognition. The father followed his son's gaze. Confusion etched on his face. "What do you mean, son? Do you know her?" The boy nodded eagerly, pointing with his small hand. "Daddy, that's the lady. The one I told you about. The one who gave me food when you were sick." Her breath caught. The memory came rushing back. Months ago, she had seen the boy sitting on the diner steps, shivering, his face pale with hunger. She had sneaked him some food from her shift, despite the risk of getting in trouble. She remembered the way his little hands had clutched the sandwich, the way he had whispered a tiny thank you before disappearing into the night. Now, standing before her was the same boy, cleaner, healthier, but still with that same unmistakable face. The father's eyes softened as he looked at her, realization dawning. He stepped closer. "You a broken bar? You're the one who helped my son?" She swallowed hard, suddenly embarrassed. "It was nothing, just some leftovers. I didn't think you'd even remember." The boy tugged at his father's sleeve. "She's the reason I wasn't so hungry, Daddy. She's the one." The father looked down at his son, then back at her. His voice thickened with emotion. "That was not nothing. I was sick, couldn't work, couldn't provide, and my son a broken bar. He came home with food that night. I asked him where it came from, but he never told me. He just said an angel helped him. Now I see he was right." Her eyes stung with tears she tried to hold back. She shook her head. "I'm no angel. I'm just someone who knows what it's like to be hungry." They stood there in silence for a moment, the weight of unspoken struggles hanging between them. The father's clothes were patched, his shoes worn. It was clear that though things were a little better now, life was still far from easy. Finally, he extended his hand. "My name's Daniel. This is my son, Jacob. If it's not too much a broken bar, would you join us for dinner tonight? It won't be fancy, but it would mean a lot to us." She hesitated. The thought of sitting at a stranger's table made her uneasy, but the look in Jacob's eyes, a pure hope, pure gratitude, melted her resistance. She nodded. All right. That evening, in their small but warm apartment, she sat across the table from them. The meal was simply pasta with canned sauce and a loaf of bread, but to her, it felt like a feast. Jacob chattered excitedly, telling stories about school, while Daniel occasionally smiled, though she could see the weariness in his eyes. As the night went on, Daniel finally spoke. "I've been trying to get steady work again. It's been hard. After my wife passed, everything just a broken bar fell apart. But people like you remind me there's still kindness left in the world. You didn't know us, and yet you gave when you had nothing to spare." Her chest tightened. She wanted to tell him the truth, that she, too, had been on the edge for years, that her life was nothing but late rent notices and empty cupboards, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. Instead, she managed a small smile. "Sometimes, the little we give is worth more than the world to someone else." Weeks turned into months, and slowly, an unexpected bond grew between them. She would stop by after her shifts, sometimes bringing small treats for Jacob. Daniel, in turn, would help her with odd repairs in her run-down apartment. They weren't rich, they weren't perfect, but together, they created a circle of support that each of them desperately needed. The challenges never fully disappeared. Some nights, she still went to bed hungry. Danielle still struggled to find steady work, but there was a new strength in their struggles now, because they weren't alone anymore. One evening, Jacob curled up beside her on the couch, resting his head on her shoulder. In his sleepy voice, he whispered, "I prayed for someone like you, and God sent you." Her heart swelled, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. She held him close, realizing that in a world full of cold streets and leftover scraps, she had stumbled into something far richer than she ever imagined: family, belonging, and the quiet power of kindness. And from that day forward, She no longer carried her leftovers home alone.